Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at that 6-star Ebony Maw and what kind of numbers he can put out and where he can potentially be useful. So I found like a really good matchup for him in Act 6. I think it's like 6.13, the Loki chapter. And we found Phoenix there. So the global node is where we basically just have to stay close to opponent, so that shouldn't be a problem with all of his power control mechanics. Well, when I say all of his power control mechanics, I mean his heavy attack and his special 3. But we do have class advantage against Phoenix. We are able to nullify those Furies if need be, and so we should be having quite good time overall. So we're about 25 hits in right about now, and she is on 74%. So as you can see, Ebony Maw definitely isn't the hardest hitter, but later on we're going to see a comparison just exactly how not the hard hitter he is, but fair enough. So let's focus on the fight here. There are many mechanics of Ebony Maw I actually do really like. I absolutely love his level 1 with his nullify abilities over there. His heavy attacks, I think, is one of the nicest mechanics in game. If they would have mounted that heavy attack to many different champions, I think that would have been like really OP. And his level 3 is amazing as well, because it can drain like 100% of opponent's power, so that's really cool. The problem though is, yeah, the numbers. The numbers he's putting out really aren't the greatest at all. As you can see, at 6-star he crits for like K.5. That's not good at all. The heavy attack crit for under 4k. Jesus, that is not a good damage. There are many 4-stars that do a lot more damage. But anyway, so we are at 84 hits to take down 22k Phoenix. So 89 hits. So it's gonna be like 90 hits, I think. Yeah, 90 hits takes down the Phoenix in Act 6. So that's not really kind of your standard questing champion damage, at least for Act 6. You definitely do not want your fights to last 90 hits. However, there I saw that it was Sabertooth and I quickly ran away from him just because it was pretty much pointless. However, let's put Juggernaut next to that Ebony Maw damage-wise before we go to other content and check out what else Ebony Maw can do. But anyways, yeah, so we're using 6-star unduped Juggernaut. I'm not using any synergies whatsoever for Juggernaut. I left this exactly the same team that I had before, just swapped out Ebony Maw for Jugs, and Jugs doesn't synergize with any of these characters. So this is kind of like 6-star unduped Jugs against fully synergized Ebony Maw, and we're gonna see how Juggernaut compares to that Ebony Maw. It is obviously a bit harder of a fight in this kind of scenario just because we do not have any power control mechanics. It means we do need to be quick baiting out those level 1s just to kind of like make sure we don't degen to death. So Ebony Maw has that going for him. You can't take that away. His heavy attack is really useful because in theory you can always land a hit on opponent no matter how annoying they are when they do not want to throw the special attack, and that's like one of the things I love most about Ebony Maw, because you can never get stuck in that situation where you end up baiting and baiting an opponent just won't throw that special attack, and then eventually either you make a mistake or something else happens. Like we all know that kind of problem on Bane nodes. So in theory, Ebony Maw should be really good countering Bane nodes so long as you can parry an opponent and punish them with heavy attack. But the real problem, yeah, with Ebony Maw is the numbers he puts out. So anyways, we're 63 hits in. She's on 5%. She's gonna have one Phoenix charge, so we're gonna actually have to deal with a bit more health than Ebony Maw did. So there's 67 hits in, and we have last 15% to go. And let's remember, Ebony Maw was 90 hits to take down this Phoenix. Juggernaut does it in 75, 76, 77 hits. So even a 6-star unduped Juggernaut without any synergies out damages Ebony Maw quite easily. But maybe Act 6 was a bit too much for unduped rank 1 6-star, so we're taking a look at Act 5. So this is 541, I believe, the first quest of Chapter 4, and we're on Power Path. I found that to be an appropriate path for Ebony Maw just because he's supposed to be a power control character, and let's see how well we can deal with this Dormammu. So right here, off the bat, we realize that I can pretty much infinitely spam that heavy attack and then see whether he bites for that special one or not. So now he's in falter, so he's not gonna hit us with that special one just because we can phase through it. Now we're launching our level 1, we're basically completing our mission, and we're going back to heavy attacks. So here I think I am gonna make some mistake in this fight, but overall this fighting style is like one redeeming thing I can think of Ebony Maw while you're running him, especially without Mystic Dispersion. It's just you can kind of like keep the pressure on an opponent, and that heavy attack does count. Like that heavy attack mechanic where he steals power and you gain more power is in fact really useful. Like there's no denying about that. Like again, if Ebony Maw would be putting out like twice of the numbers that he is putting out, he would actually be kind of like decent good champion, kind of like middle of the pack to kind of like, you know, good champion that people would actually want to use. As it stands right about now, just by looking at the numbers themselves, I think he's gonna be mainly kind of like a hood decoration for Cull Obsidian, because he does have really useful and amazing synergies with Cull Obsidian that do help that character a lot. But as it stands for use of Ebony Maw himself, unless he gains some really good synergies that like massively increase his degen damage or something, I don't know, I doubt anybody will realistically want to play this character against anybody else aside from like Corvus Glaive, because that Corvus fight is really fun. But as you can see here, we're 63 hits in against Dormammu, 66 hits in, and he still has a quarter of his health left. Now granted, I did make a couple of mistakes. I did trigger degen on myself, which I shouldn't have. I should have been more careful about it. But still, I mean, really, we have a 6-star character in Act 5, 541, that's not even the final quest there. And we're nearing 80 hits, and vast majority of those are heavy attacks. And heavy attacks like typically dish out a lot more damage and a lot less hits than your regular attacks. Therefore, if I would be ignoring his heavy mechanic, this fight would have went well over 100 hits. And I completed these chapters with like 3-star champions, and majority of the fights were less than 100 hits using 3-stars and suicides. The same as this 5, and yeah, so basically we figured out Act 5 is still not really a fun place to take in Ebony Maw, just because who wants to have 100 hit fights? So let's check out whether he can do Act 4 in some really cool, interesting manner. And so the first couple of fights are just the symbiotes. We're gonna get some persistent charges on, increase the degen damage. But let's see how much that's gonna help us. Now here, this fight I kind of have to purposely drag out in order to get the mission. But still, if we take a look purely at the hits, not just the time taken, it's still gonna take us about 19 hits to take him down. So that's not too bad. But yeah, that was kind of like weaker opponents. We're gonna move forward to the left side where opponents have like also some armor buffs, and we're gonna see how Ebony Maw does in one of the harder lanes of final quest of Act 4. And once again, that is a 6-star Ebony Maw in Act 4. So first fight he took 19 hits to take down opponent. Let's take a look at this one. So yeah, while this fight is going on in the background, I'm gonna give kind of like brief overview on how you want to play Ebony Maw for the most part. So his most interesting mechanic is the heavy attack, which you basically want to charge for as long as possible, because with Cull Obsidian synergy you are able to give a 0% fury, permanent fury to opponent, which you will later be able to nullify via your level 1 and complete like one of your missions. Then obviously you want to have at least one hit miss. That means you want opponent to attack while they are in falter to get your second mission. And your third mission is also completed with your first heavy attack. Pretty much you just need to make opponent lose power, which is like a really easy thing to do. I didn't want to show that previous fight because it was pretty much exactly the same there, but now we have 3 charges on Ebony Maw and we're going in against 12k Hulk. So it's pretty much comparable PI. Obviously Hulk has a class advantage, but let's remember he doesn't have a level 3, and yeah, it's Act 4. They have physical resistance, which Ebony Maw can bypass 100% because vast majority of his hits are not physical, that they do energy damage. They also have armor buff, which Ebony Maw can't really bypass, and he also, it turns out, can't nullify that one. But yeah, anyway, so we have gotten all 3 missions completed, 28 hits in, and that Hulk is on 50% health. I think I'm gonna make mistakes somewhere around here, because I'm gonna play around too long with the falter mechanic, which is a really cool thing going on for Ebony Maw. And going back to that, he has a really cool heavy attack that I absolutely love. If that would be given to like any other character, I would immediately like that character and rate that character like a lot more. But yeah, so we have that heavy attack. That's awesome. Falter, you can kind of make a use and advantage of it in several fights. I also did like a yellow jacket fight in 5.4 where I could just time my falters appropriately, and then basically I had a really easy time dealing with yellow jacket level 1, so that's cool, and his level 3 is really cool. But here you can see it took us 66 hits to take down an Act 4 opponent. Obviously that wasn't like a perfect matchup, but still, Act 4 opponent, 66 hits. Damn, somebody dropped the ball hard there on those numbers. But anyway, so I thought like surely there has to be a way how to like play Ebony Maw better and deal more damage. So I took one for the team. I went and respect my masteries. I put Mystic Dispersion on, and I wanted to see, because in theory I was thinking you should have like a good rhythm going with spamming your heavy attacks, getting towards like end of your level 1, then shooting off your level 1, and then each hit is gonna nullify one of those furies that you placed on opponent, and then you can get like ton of power, and you can either go for level 3 or level 2 and try and dish out some more damage. And so as you can see here, we're going for a level 3 with 19 hits in. And the fight is different. The fight is kind of like a lot more aggressive in Ebony's favor, because he can shoot more special attacks, obviously with Mystic Dispersion. And no matter what happens, he always has that heavy attack, which he can use, so opponents will never kind of be to a full power, because that power reduction happens after they gain power from the heavy attack itself. So even if they are close to 3 bars of power, you can still shoot your heavy attack, and that's gonna drain them below 3 bars of power, which is like insane mechanic. I really love it. But now when we take a look at, so that was a level 2 crit for like 6k, really 6k crit on a level 2. I don't even, but yeah, as you can see here, the damage output, even with Mystic Dispersion, even with us like spamming more special attacks and just basically pretty much all that we're doing here is spamming heavy attacks and special attacks, and it's that easy. But even with all of that, the damage just isn't there. And so yeah, that's my final thoughts pretty much on Ebony Maw. I think his mechanics are cool. I really like his heavy attack. I do like that falter thing. That can be really useful. His level 3 is one of the more awesome level 3s in game, in terms that he can reduce 100% of the opponent's power. His really good synergy, like he synergizes really well with Mystic Dispersion, as many other Mystic champions. But the numbers are just not there. I think Ebony Maw pretty much forever and ever will be a synergy champion, perhaps a defender, that still remains to be seen. But yeah, somebody dropped the ball hard when they gave him his damage numbers. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it, and I'm gonna see you next time. See ya!